Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to the Big Cheese Podcast, where we talk about dogs catching cars. We have a special guest today.
Jon.
Introduce Jon.
Jon Arnold.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Jon, so should we call you Jonathan or Jon?
Jon, please.
Jon. Only your mother calls you Jonathan?
Yes.
Yes.
But is your actual name Jonathan?
It is.
Okay.
And even when you say Jon, you have to think Jon, no H.
Yeah, you say that slightly differently.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a John with the H, and then Jon's more like John.
No, there's not. Is there an audible difference? But okay, you fuckers. Okay, listen. All right. First of all, so I have been a fanboy of Jon's since early 2000s. He ran a UX design group called Intuitive, and it was always like it was Indianapolis's best UX design group that you would find, and I would always be looking at his stuff, be following his stuff. And then we've met a couple times at various meetups and whatever. And then I actually have a podcast that I did and I'm thinking it's about 16 years ago, when he was the CEO of Intuitive, before he did this amazing journey, which I hope we're going to talk about on this podcast because it's amazing. And so this is like I'm fangirling a bit because, again, I have been a huge fan of yours.
We've been fanboying and fangirling. That's got to be a Big Cheese Podcast record.
It's the trans fan is the okay. So anyway, the whole point ultimately being is then once I started hearing that you're getting now into AI and you're doing a lot of these things, it was like, yes, we absolutely have to get you on the show. So with that, give us your history elevator pitch, being a young 24-year-old man.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for the kind words, and back at you as far as admiration. I love watching your constant exploration.
That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah, you are on the bleeding edge. Whether that's true or not, I'm just telling you what I'm convinced of.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
Let's see. I feel like I'm comfortable referring to myself as kind of a veteran, probably like you,
100%
of the web area. Right. I have been in the web space since 1998. That's how long I've been self-employed. Yep. And
that's wait, you've been self-employed since 98?
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah. Okay.
I a lone wolf most of that time.
Right.
I had a shop with employees from 2005 until 2011 when I kind of left town and went on my epic journey, living the nomadic lifestyle for 2 years. But yeah, during that time, it has been just watching so many kind of waves come, and then just as an industry figuring out what that means. And AI is the latest version of that, and I haven't seen anything like this.
Nothing.
Crazy.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's not how I imagined finishing up my career.
Oh, that's a brilliant way of putting it.
I expected to kind of just be this elder statesman of UX and UI, being able to talk about all of the battle-tested processes that I've spent the last 30 years honing. And it just didn't work out like that. We're all kind of starting over and figuring out how do we build software now, and what is software, and where is it going?
Totally. That's beautiful.
I have a question.
Okay,
for you. Is everyone now a software developer, or is everyone now full of shit?
I don't know that they're mutually exclusive.
That's probably true.
It seems like everybody has the capability now to make software.
At some level, that's true.
Yeah, and there's got to be some analogy to that. Like, so what can we point to where we saw this happen?
Desktop publishing. Okay. So when the Macs came out with PageMaker, all of a sudden now everybody could do desktop publishing. Before, you had to know how to print out little strips of your paper and paste it up and lay it out and do it all manually. So I think, but that was absolutely transformational for the industries.
For but this is much bigger.
Oh no, it's infinitely bigger.
Yeah.
Like I mean it's infinitely bigger, but it was at the time transformational because again, so my dad who had the print shop at the time, I would hear these guys who would be the ones who were doing the layouts before be like,
And we're talking like mid 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s. Where they started seeing, because they started doing like, subtle little things to digital presses, like taking things from just, moving it to film, different things like this, where they're all like, I'm not liking this vibe.
Yeah.
Right. And then in the late 90s, you start getting digital presses and you can go straight to plate kind of stuff. And all these guys were like, I'm not going to learn this. And my dad's like, you're not going to learn it. And then you're going to get fired because it's either you adapt to this or you're no longer in the business because, and that's just what we're going to see here. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing, though, is that now everybody, though, hypothetically is now a software developer for good or bad.
Dude, this might be the biggest change in the world since, like, hunter-gatherer turns into farmer consumer.
Right, because of mushrooms.
Yeah, or
you know what I mean?
Like the printing press. The
printing press.
Printing press.
Right,
that was revolutionary.
Yeah.
It feels to that scale. Actually, it feels even more.
Yeah,
It does.
It does.
Which is crazy to even say that.
Yeah.
Well, what's weird about it is it feels like the printing press, but at the global interconnected scale that we currently have today. And with the political tensions that we have today, where it can be used against, other nation states, it can be used like, so it does feel very much like it's so transformational, but also like, oh my God, like what the fuck's going to happen here kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So before we delve into this though, before we go into, I want to provide the world with Jon's story of what he did with his family. Because if you're in a position right now where you're like, I'm trying to figure out, I've got young kids, I want to do something that is going to leave a everlasting impact on their lives and give us such a great experience that no one will ever be able to forget it in the relation or in our family. You need to listen to this because did you brand it? Did you have a brand name for your journey?
Well, I mean, I just had a domain name. At the time, GPS devices were new, and I don't know if you remember the catchphrase whenever it would have to recalculate the route. It would say recalculating route.
That's it.
And so
loved it.
Yeah. Now it's Go Arnold's. It's goarnolds.com.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, at the time it was recalculating route because that was such a metaphor for what we were doing just as a family.
Right.
We're just getting off that default path
that
we found ourselves on.
And so at some point, was it you and did you decide this or did you and your wife were talking about it? Like how did you decide we're going to basically change every aspect of our life?
So first of all, I can tell, here's my goal during this conversation.
Okay.
I'm going to try to talk about this without crying.
Please, no, I hope you cry because then we're totally going to clip it.
Right?
That's golden.
Yeah, it was just such a meaningful, it's been the biggest part of my life, biggest part of my family's life, which if there's a downside to that, it's that the coolest thing I've ever done was 15 years ago, in my rear view at this point.
Sure.
But have you ever seen the Pixar movie Up?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we have 3 daughters, and they were, let's see, this when we left, they were 7, 9, and 11. So subtract a year from that. And we were watching Up. And the gist of the story is there's a young married couple, and their dream is to always go to Paradise Falls. And they start saving up, but life just always got in the way. The car would break down, or they would need to fix the house, and there was all these like smash cut scenes of them having to like break the jar and get all the money out that was being saved for Paradise Falls, just dealing with the things of life. Okay, and they never get to Paradise Falls, and it's just kind of a sad story how the dude ends up alone, and he's wanting to kind of finally make this trip that he never got to make with his wife because she passes away. And after we watched that movie, and this was also in the throes of me reconciling part of just being on this default path. This is when I started like hiring people, and I had an office, and I was doing the things that I thought I was supposed to be doing. That bullshit about if you're not growing, you're dying, all that. Yeah. I fell for it. And I just started growing and expanding in a way that ultimately didn't serve me and just made me professionally miserable. Okay, so that was the backdrop of watching that movie, and then seeing kind of what happens when you don't kind of take responsibility for your own happiness, your own fulfillment. And then I can't remember how the conversation, actually got started, but it got started. And it was between my wife and me, and just looking at each other like, we don't want to be that. And just wanting to take some control of our lives and our own happiness. And we just decided that we want to do something epic, however scary and unproven it might be. And I don't know where the RV, like buying an RV and hitting the road, I don't know where that came from. I don't know. But that just became the thing. And we planned for 6 months. It was the hardest thing that I'd ever worked on.
Right.
I mean, it's surprisingly hard to unhook from whatever life, you're living. And, but we committed to it. And every day for 6 months, we decided we're doing this. And then, oh man, getting choked up.
Yeah. Let it out. No, it's good. It's beautiful. No, because again, like what you did, like, and again, it chokes me up every time I would watch the videos and everything that you were doing with the family. It was just like, this is fucking magical, dude. So yeah, please.
I will never forget when we finally broke away.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Just driving, that driving,
and seeing Indianapolis off to the right as we headed west. It was incredible,
right?
Absolutely incredible,
right? And how long did you do this for?
So the original plan was to be out for a year. We were going to go out west because west we hadn't spent a lot of time out there, and just the pictures seemed super exotic. So that was the original plan: 1 year out west. And when I say out west, I mean in a different spot, like every week. That was kind of the rhythm of
you
of the
also
trip.
tied the lesson plans to the locations.
Yeah, so Indiana is surprisingly lax on how we educate our children. Like they just don't care. You can do whatever. And if you call it homeschool, they're like, you go. So that's what we did, and my wife bought some curriculums that seemed reasonable, but we were just a few weeks into this trip, and we were seeing some amazing things, and yet our girls were learning about things completely unrelated to that. And then so my wife just said, forget this. And then so she developed basically her own curriculum that was based on where we were at, from week to week. And so during the day, they would be doing, we called it road school,
right.
Something related to where we were at. And then that's what they do during the day. And then in the afternoons and the evenings, we would take our little road trips and go see the things and be at the places that they were just learning about. And it was educational for all of us.
Right. And we were just talking before that we started the recording that to this day, though, that everybody in the family, all three girls, you, the wife, like it's still a very...
Yeah, I feel like it is the, as far as like our identity, it's the number one thing that whenever my girls, even like my youngest, she's in grad school now, but all throughout middle school, high school, college, and now grad school, anytime there was ever any like icebreaker, tell us something interesting, or if they ever had to write a report or do something, they would always go back to that RV trip. I mean, that's just how ingrained, and it's also just gave them just their understanding of how big the world is. And we didn't even go international. We stuck within the United States. Sure. And we went to Alaska and Hawaii too, just to check those boxes. But just that gave them such a larger worldview.
Right.
And I, as a parent, that's been very exciting that they are not going to stay in Indianapolis. They are going to move elsewhere just because that's just how big they think now. And one quick story about how this still affects us and how the geographic being spread out is not a problem. We were 6 months into the trip, and we were in Everett, Washington, and we took a tour of the Boeing plant. And my, damn it, I'm getting choked up.
Good.
So we took a tour in the Boeing plant, and my middle daughter, she was 9 years old at the time, she was like, I want to do that. And ever since, she just never stopped talking about airplanes. And and she just never stopped talking about airplanes, and she is now a Delta pilot.
That is fuck on. Seriously?
Yeah. And oh man, this one story I want to tell about being on her first flight a couple months ago. I just don't think I could get through.
Oh wait, she just did her first flight?
It was just the first flight that my wife and I
had done with her.
Yeah, she's been flying for Delta for a year now.
That's incredible.
So she's getting close to, I don't know, 750 hours, something like that. She gets captain upgrade when she gets to 1,000 hours. But yeah, my wife and I, we had the privilege of being on her. We wanted to give her some space to get used to just that lifestyle.
Yeah, you don't want mom and dad on the first flight.
Exactly.
Don't kill your parents on the first flight.
But when we were on that plane, sitting with 100 other passengers, just typical airline travel, and hearing her voice come over the intercom saying, "Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for departure."
Just
well, and the other thing about that is, I mean, how many times is it a female voice when they do that?
Oh, right.
That's not a very common profession.
Yeah, which we've seen the good and the bad of that. The good is that she gets a lot of encouragement, a lot of just support. Yeah, in the United States, I don't know what it is elsewhere, but commercial airline pilots is 95 or 96% men.
Wow.
And my daughter, she has a couple things working against her. She's young, looks even younger. She's short, and she's beautiful. These are not the characteristics that we attribute to airline pilots.
Right.
So she gets a lot of shit for that, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't give the captain too much shit.
Hey, I'm flying this bird, bitch.
Yeah. I have a couple questions. One, what was the favorite place you guys went to?
Everyone has their own different favorite. For me, it was the desert, Death Valley. There was just something beautiful about how inhospitable the desert was to any kind of life, yet life still found a way there.
What was the most unexpected place?
Oh, boy. Nothing is coming to mind. And maybe it's because I got so accustomed to everything being unexpected.
Yeah.
Ooh,
just when I felt like I had seen everything this country had to offer as far as geological diversity, it's like the next week it'd be like, what is this? It was insane. Yeah.
God, what an amazing experience.
It was incredible.
Right.
I could talk about it all day, but and I have to acknowledge that certainly so much of it has been romanticized in my head. Our memories are demonstrably inaccurate, but maybe that's irrelevant. What's relevant is what I took away from it and just how that changed our family. Just brought us together and just gave us, I think, expanded our respective worldviews. And I have probably forgotten about all of the bad,
all of the
and
negative.
I have clung to all of the positives.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a very challenging undertaking. I'm sure there was all kinds of things that came
certainly, and that's ironically one of the benefits of it.
Right.
Is it's the whole concept of shared crises. That when things go wrong on something like that, that's actually pretty good. That becomes the glue that holds people.
That's trauma bonding, I think, is what we call that, right?
And so when stuff went wrong and we had to rally together to figure out what we were going to do, those were all moments that just brought us closer together.
Did you ever hit an animal with the RV?
Hit an animal? No.
Okay.
We did have a stowaway once. We were visiting my sister in North Carolina, and we were halfway home back to Indiana and heard meows coming from underneath the RV. And we pulled over, and it's my sister's cat.
No way.
Had stowed away and made half the trip there.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Okay, so obviously that was not anything about AI, but nevertheless, again, everybody needs to be considering this. Like, if you've got a young family, you only have, like, you think when you have kids that it's going to last forever, and it doesn't. It goes way, and everybody says, way faster than you ever imagined, but it's fucking true.
It is.
And so take that risk and, like, do those things. And if you know, like, my God, like, the transformation that you can have from it's amazing. Okay, let's get.
Can I just add one more thing to that?
Fuck yes, you can.
So when we did it, 2011, that's when we left town. Cell service was unreliable.
Oh my God, yeah.
But it was still good enough. And I felt like I wondered if I was committing professional suicide by doing this. I didn't care. I was going to do it anyway. But now, especially post-COVID, where it's completely acceptable to be remote.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Right.
And cell service is so reliable now, it has removed, in my opinion, any barrier to doing this.
Totally. 100%. Yeah, start with Starlink now. Like, you can literally have it now while you're moving, other than when they're falling out of the sky. That's besides the point. Okay. All right. So what we're going to be talking about today on the Big Cheesy AI podcast.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, thanks for letting me talk about that.
That was great.
No, everybody needs to hear it.
I'm leaving for Puerto Rico with my 3 kids tomorrow, so that was a nice inspo.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Where my wife's from there.
Yeah. That's it. So again, we need to do more
I
of this
just told
stuff.
Jacob I want the airport to shut down, so I don't have to come back. Which might happen.
You might be lucky. Yeah. Okay. So the thing that I want to talk about today, when it comes to AI, and this is actually very apropos for what I'm working with one of my clients, is like, what does a modern design system look like in the era of AI? So historically, what we would have is maybe you would have just like a Figma document that outlines, here's everything of all of our designs, how our buttons work, all this kind of stuff. Maybe you go all the way down to having a component library where you build out a custom component library, and then they can, like, follow those rules. But in today's AI world, where everybody's just building their own shit, they're not really worrying about a whole lot of architecture, they're not worrying about a lot of stuff. How do we ensure that AI is going to follow our design specs and our design rules? And that's what I want to talk about today. And I don't even know how to kick it off with even a fucking question.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll start with saying I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. That's the beauty of it. But that's what I love about where we're at. Is that this is the exciting part. And I think this is where a lot of UX people get excited about, because we like to take these new problems and these things that haven't been necessarily, like, figured out and figure them out, right? Like, that's just, like, inherently in our job definition. But it's a very bizarre position that we're in, because I started kind of going down the path for one of my clients where I was going to use, I think we talked about it last time, called mitosis. And it's basically a way for you to build, like, a component library and then export it out to a bunch of different frameworks, whether that's Angular or Svelte or Vue or web components.
Is that built out as some sort of code, or is it still?
It's all code. Okay. Yeah, so it's still all code, and it's very much JSX. So it feels very much like a
something
React
super
thing.
portable code.
Exactly. And so that thing's been very interesting. But when I went and I presented it to said client, one of the developers, Nathan, you probably don't listen to the podcast, so that's okay. But Nathan was like, I hate this idea. And I'm like,
not
okay.
surprised.
No, but he hated the idea because he didn't want another component library.
Yes, I've run into that. I run into that a lot.
Exactly, and they're like, because who's going to maintain it? And he's like, we don't have anybody who's going to maintain it, and nobody would. And he's like, but with AI now, do we actually care? Because as long as the AI can write the button to be the right spec.
Let's take a step back. User experience matters just as much as it always has. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, user research, right? The process and the deliverables in the design discipline, I think, are still valid.
Of course, I would fucking hope so.
I mean, I think it's dangerous to devalue design because it's bottleneck, or because you perceive it as a bottleneck, and that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
You have people, product managers, business folks that have something and they just want to reach right for the crack.
Right.
The crack is the Lovable.
Sure.
Right? The crack is the Codex. The crack is the conversation. that's generating immediately code. Right. And then not considering that just an idea.
Yes.
Or a spec.
Considering that prototype.
Can you slap our logo on this, and can this be in production next week?
Can you deploy this?
Like I said, that conversation I was having. That was literally, that's what's happening inside a very large company.
Are you using Lovable?
I'm not.
Okay, so which AI tools are you currently using? So
I am a Claude code guy right now.
Yeah, baby.
But
yeah.
Are you?
I'm a whore.
You're everything, aren't you, Brandon?
I'm all of them.
Yeah,
I'm all the things.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I'm whatever thing my brain goes to the first, I'm going to hang out there. Been playing along with Codex. That's a whole different.
You're
thing.
such a Codex.
I know. So, but before Claude Code, was it Cursor?
Yeah. So I feel like Cursor was my first IDE where I was like, I'm all in on AI.
Yeah.
And before that, it was dabbling with Figma Make, and there's one other that I'm spacing on right now.
Right.
Why did Figma not dominate in this era when it comes to actual software development? Like they should. Like they went public. Their company's valuation did not increase after it went public. It went down.
It tanked.
Yeah. And it's like you have the assets, you have the designers,
you've got the market.
You've got the market.
Got the market.
I don't think they switched their paradigm fast enough.
Yeah.
I still think they saw themselves as, well, design is still a thing, which it is, but I think the mistake is a design tool like Figma is still the anchor that all design needs to revolve around. And that's broken down for me.
It has. I mean, that's the conversation I'm having right now, is that large organization has a bottleneck because nobody wants to wait on the Figma.
Right.
Yeah. Why would you?
Right. But you don't anymore. And
but you also don't want some, half thought out sloppy thing that doesn't align with your brand.
No, but I'm thinking,
do you?
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to get there. I mean, the slop is going to continue. I mean, companies like we know for a fact that 95% of the population has zero taste, and they have no way to discern slop versus good stuff. So yes,
100%,
that's going to happen.
And the AI that generates UI absolutely reflects that.
100%. Yeah. It's absolute slop. So Stitch, who brought up Stitch? You brought up Stitch. Jacob was talking about he was playing around with Stitch, which is Google's new kind of like design tool, infinite design tool.
When they announced that, Figma stock tanked even more.
It did. But Stitch, if it's anything like the first one that I played with last few months ago, again, from a UX standpoint, it's dog shit.
Yeah, if I ever am craving profound disappointment, I will go to the Stitches of the world and ask for a UI
exactly.
for a product.
Oh, wait, so it's no good?
No, it's no good. Well, and that's the piece, is that people don't understand there's so much complexity that goes into a good user experience, because you're not just like laying out elements. You're not just worrying about white space or negative space or the padding or all of that shit. You're worrying about like how it actually interacts with a human fucking being.
Do you guys remember, you were old school UI guys in town.
You old fucking UI guys.
Was Christian Anderson?
Oh yeah. K plus A.
He has this whole diatribe about how important taste is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually read a lot of his stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's right though. I mean, taste is critical, and AI does not have taste. Okay, and you cannot get taste from AI.
Now, let's bridge it though. So if I go to Lovable and I just give it some requirements, I'm going to get back, the thing that it usually it's going to be purple, right?
Purple with some gradients.
It's going to be purple with some gradients. But there are things that I can do. Let's say we're in the Claude Code perspective. Okay, so I can load up a new project. Let's say I have a spec. Okay, a decent PRD spec for a product. I can arm that tool with things that will increase my chances of it aligning with my brand, being a good user experience.
Yes. Yep.
So what are some of the things that, you are doing? What are the things that we're seeing? I mean, obviously we have skills.
Right.
We can introspect Figma docs. with MCP servers and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the way to go?
I don't know.
Yeah, so at least the way I was imagining the scenario you just described with Lovable and giving it some direction on style guidelines, I would fully expect it to be able to produce something perfectly adequate. And for those situations, to me, it feels like, 20 years ago, when I can remember charging obscene amounts to design a website. That really wasn't that special.
No.
And so when tools came out that let just the common person create that same thing, to me, that just feels like a market correction. And now I see the same thing with software. If you can go to a Lovable and describe what you want and get back something that just conforms with standard UI patterns, that's probably a better fit. You got what you needed, nothing more, nothing less. And previously, you would have had to pay out the nose to have that same thing done. And now it's just been another market correction. I'm not interested. In fact, I'm not even critical of that path for people. Yeah. That's the right path for that. It's when people actually need to have something, maybe from a UX standpoint, that is novel in some way, creates some sort of new form of delight, or you have a really complex business problem you're trying to solve that hasn't been solved 1,000 times before and therefore AI is trained on. That's when you need someone who actually knows how to design and program the right user experience that AI is going to struggle with.
Okay, but to me, that's where the only meaningful work that's even happening now.
So
right, I mean, because I was reading something yesterday. It was like the top 20 most active GitHub repos have 0 users.
Wow,
people are just slanging shit.
Yeah.
Right. So now I think I agree with you. Right, you go to Lovable, you get the thing, right? But like, I feel like people are like thinking that is going to accomplish something.
That's the thing, and that's going to.
And maybe it does.
It could. It might.
But I don't. But I'm thinking that if it was such an easy thing to do,
so
it's probably not nuanced. It's probably not going to help other people.
Okay, so let me use John as an example of the kind of shit that you're not going to get from vibe coding. So if you go to John's website right now, and it's jonarnold.dev.
Yes.
Nice.
And it's basically, it says, hey, I'm John. This is what I fucking do. And I do design systems. Do you just need UI? And you have this nice little underline of just need UI.
I love that.
And you click the button, and it literally just pukes out a bunch of UI. Just a bunch of UI components all over the screen that didn't just settle at the bottom that you can interact, buttons, form fields, little arrows, like all of the UI elements. But like AI would never get you there. Like you could come up with the idea yourself and direct AI to get there, but you would never be like, hey, here's what I'm trying to solve. And AI would never be like, what you need to do is confetti fucking a bunch of UI library, right? Like it's just not going to happen. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think that's going to make people really stand out is, again, what's going to happen is I think AI is going to normalize application development. We're going to have a normalized consistency. We're finally going to, all boats are going to rise up. We're going to finally have good user experience for the most part across the board. And then people like John are going to come up and be like, oh, now that base is there, I'm going to now level up to a whole other level that nobody's fucking thought about. And then the models for the next 5 years will be training on my new shit, right? That's where my head's at with that.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
fuck yeah! Did I just close the podcast down, baby? Shit, it's only 42 minutes in.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, so real quick, how would you recommend a company like Farm Bureau Insurance?
My God.
No, I'm kidding. But really, like, as people are trying to think about like what does, because historically you have built design systems for companies, right? And right.
Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about the work.
Yeah. So
that not AI, just like historically the work.
Something I have noticed or have felt very aware of is that there's kind of two worlds. This is just how I think of it as far as software development. There are, think biggish companies like Meta, Airbnb, all these places that are super sophisticated, have super sophisticated in-house design and dev shops.
Yes.
Okay. And they need very sophisticated design systems. You have to have those processes in place to be able to get the design teams to work effectively with the development teams. That is not the world that I have run in.
No, neither is. Well, not in Indiana.
Yeah, not in Indiana.
The world that I run in is companies that have some. It's usually an app. It's usually like a 10, 20-year-old app that is critical to their business, have no design resources whatsoever in-house, and they just need it needs to be upgraded. And this time around, they want to like do it right and do a design first thing, which, side note, you would think the shock would wear off at some point, but I am continually surprised at what passes for commercially viable software.
You're literally explaining. Dude, you're the same. That's my entire. That's all of our shoot. That's my exact experience.
Yeah. It's just shocking to me.
It's so bad.
I mean, real fixer-uppers come across.
I actually just had this conversation, and maybe it's a Midwest thing. I don't know. I just feel like when I was coming up, I focused on HTML and CSS and JavaScript. Okay. I was the guy that took the Photoshop and made it look exactly like the thing. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That was my life.
Yeah, I'm pixel perfect, baby.
Yeah. Fuck you. I'm gonna make that. Oh, how did they do that shadow? Okay. I need to do the CSS. But a lot, at least in my experience, I got into the enterprise or the professional world, and there was no front end expertise around here.
Yeah.
There was no good front end developers. Then Jacob and I started a business because of it. Right.
I totally believe it. Yeah. There's something about front end and caring about front end that just doesn't seem to be a default setting with most developers.
It's called capitalism.
and to boot, I think the reason why we got a little leg up over the years, and I tell a story all the time, is because we when React and Vue came out, we were ready because we had been writing JavaScript for a while. Right. We read the books. We learned the art of that programming language. And people were like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? They decoupled. Now I'm more of a monolith guy now because of AI, but you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
The discipline wasn't there.
Yeah. You're a Rails guy now.
So because of that is why I fundamentally changed my design process. I don't know, probably 7-8 years ago. Because what I became just disheartened by is spending months with a client getting some pixel perfect. First it was Photoshop, then it was Sketch, then it was Figma. But man, these would be beautiful designs in a static, just trapped in a static design program. And I still bristle at this term, the designer-developer handoff. That whole concept of just throwing it over the wall for the order to be fulfilled. One, it's based on the assumption that design is somehow done, which it's not. There's so much design still happening on the dev side, all the interactions, transitions, all that stuff. And not once, I don't mean rarely, I mean never, were any of my designs ever properly translated by whatever development team got my design files.
Ever. Not once.
And so
they should have hired me.
Well, that's what led me to kind of circle back to my roots and relearn modern front end development.
So you started delivering the front end.
Yeah. So my process became that I would do my traditional design process, but instead of handing off design files, I would just go to the next phase and it would be embedded in the developer team. And I mean, doing PRs, all that stuff, and handling all the front end. And there was a whole process around that. But that was the only thing that actually solved the problem was because design is still happening. Front end code is design. Yeah.
I had a designer I worked with for years, and it was backend.net guy, business guy. It was Nelson, the designer, great designer. But he always delivered HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript. And I was the hookup guy.
Okay.
I was the hookup guy. I was like, oh, state management, APIs, this isn't paginated, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he was the only person I knew that would do that. He would actually build the UIs really well and really fast.
Yeah.
And that was hats off. I mean, that's a little bit of a unicorn kind of skill set, and people don't.
Right.
And some organizations just don't value that. They think that if you're a developer, you can do all of it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So to that point though, so I will, and I've got to give prompts. I know I've dropped their name a few times. So the Indiana Farm Bureau mobile app was the first time ever that the implementation was literally pixel perfect.
Okay.
I mean, not only pixel perfect, but like pixel perfect in pixels that I didn't design. So Nick is one of the designers. He's this young kid that works there, and he was able to say, "Hey, I realize I don't have a view here, but I kind of see what he was going for." And he built, and him and Nathan, it is hands down the best ever that I've seen transition from design to implementation. That is like because most of the time you're like, oh my God, like guys, what did you do here? Every single thing was like pixel perfect to a point where like some of the problems were my fault because I didn't have the designs accurate. And I'm like, oh shit. But like it was amazing. So it does happen.
So how do we get that same discipline?
You hire Nick and Nathan, apparently.
I mean, is it literally just the people that you hire?
Well, I think people have to appreciate what you're doing. Like you have to appreciate the fact that you spent all this time on this design, that the button is 60 pixels tall and has 100% border radius, and it's this black and it's this for a reason.
But how do we turn around and have that conversation right now?
With shticks that people that don't follow my designs, they get hit with the switch.
Yeah, you're the bottleneck. You're just going to keep getting called the bottleneck.
Yeah, I think developers just need to. That sounds super judgy.
Skill issue.
I think design needs to not be so siloed.
Agree.
That because even what you were describing, Brandon, this idea of you're describing some super competent developers that knew how to translate, but
only those two dudes could have done it.
But even then, that still assumes that whatever design they received was perfect and had covered all of the bases.
It was. Thank you fucking very much. I'm just kidding.
But one of the things that I've appreciated about just my own flow and other designers who also code is it relieves the need to feel like you need to define everything back on the design side.
Oh, right.
Because there are I will stop at a certain point in Figma and think, I'm not going to take this any further. I can solve this on the code side because the code is my source of truth.
Yeah.
Not Figma.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's in some respects for Figma, it's like it's actually harder for me to do this in Figma than it would be to do in code.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you ever sync back to Figma from code?
I am exploring through Figma's MCP some flows to do that, just basically for AI to go update the Figma doc. But I am not going.
Are you using the MCPs from Figma? I didn't even realize they had fucking MCPs.
Bro, are you kidding me?
Fuck off! I have been out of touch.
Yeah.
I've got some life shit going on that I'm going through. You can eat a bag of dicks.
See, this is how fucking jealous he gets when he doesn't fucking know something.
Fuck.
Figma's MCP server is pretty sophisticated. It's expensive from a token usage standpoint.
Well, all MCPs are.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume so. So because it's probably like
it's intro. So the Figma. So Claude Code. I load this up. So Claude Code. I have a Jira skill that I've developed, and if there's a Figma link in there, it'll pull down the ticket. It'll see that there's a Figma URL. It'll immediately instantiate the Figma design skill in Claude Code, introspect the design, and build the fucking UI.
How is it doing that? What's it looking at? Is it looking at the?
So you have to. So Figma has you have a personal token on your personal Figma account.
Okay.
And put it in an environment variable, and it'll reach out to the document and fucking
Where you're like, that's a piece that I'm kind of curious
my skill
about.
doesn't actually use the MCP server; it just uses the API. and just pulls down the entire document.
So, but is it like using a vision model to
Actually, it might be using the MCPs. It's the official Figma design skill for Claude.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm curious about is like, what is it fucking doing to the Figma document? Is it reading this? Is it reading the SVGs? Is it reading like an image
I
screen?
assume. I don't think it's a visual thing. I think it's looking at the node structure of
the document.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes I'll give the screenshot too.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it does that. So real quick, now, another thing that's just popped up was Gemini embedding. I think version 2 is their new embedding model, and apparently the way that this thing works is it's multimodal embedding. So it actually can embed on images, it can embed on video, it can embed on all of these things. And it's not doing what we would traditionally do, where we would take an image, describe the image, and then embed it. Or a video where you take frames and then you describe the frames and you would embed it. It's literally embedding some fucking how the binary values of this, and that you can still search against it. Yeah, that's going to be fucking crazy, because right now everybody's doing these kind of shortcuts where you're just trying to transform like your screenshots into like a textual description of what's going on, and then you're trying to like process it. So something like that, as they figured it out, obviously everybody else will, and then they'll hopefully incorporate it, and we can kind of move on from that. But fuck, I need to play around with this MCP.
Yeah, the other thing, we only have a couple minutes, but not all Figma documents are created equally, are they?
What?
Well, what do you mean by that? I
Like
mean, yes, but
from
what do you
like
mean?
the ability for AI to introspect it from a like a.
I would assume so, because like if you organize your shit, like if you're a good organizer of Figma, like if you're a good steward of Figma components and organization and reuse, but like if you go and so maybe that is actually more evidence of that it's using just a node-based analysis, because if you just kind of like copy and paste a bunch of fucking nodes over and over and over again, and you don't have like a reference to a component, then it's just going to see a lot of slop.
Yeah, and then the Figma, and then the Figma make thing. Is there a good handoff? Does that become a better? Does that become a thing that's useful?
So Figma make, I think for me, it's been useful if I just want to see it spitball something because I just am looking for a different idea. Figma make is okay for that, but Figma make it feels very vibe codey to me, and the code is pretty sketchy. So
it's that standard Lovable kind of problem where you're generating code that's ultimately not going to be used.
Yeah, it is throwaway code. At least that's how I view it.
Round file code,
Which
baby.
Maybe that's great for quickie prototypes.
There are people in enterprise companies right now that are generating code and trying to hand it off to developers that cannot be used.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And they think it can.
No.
Well, arm yourself with some skills. Go back to minute marker 42 and Brandon solved all these problems.
Then go get yourself an RV and take your kids on a fucking U.S. American Gods tour.
I have looked at so many RVs and I'm just like, I can't even imagine trying to uproot everything.
You did a lot of videos and stuff. I wonder if you'd be able to repurpose all that content that you've did into a whole new series channel that you could actually be monetizing.
I don't know.
I think you could.
Did you ever think about writing a book about it?
I did. I feel like that ship sailed, but I mean, I've got a pretty extensive blog about it, and which is another interesting benefit of it, to have every week of your life for 2 years documented.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
that's so
Or
beautiful.
just feed it all into a model and have it write some slop for you.
yeah.
Anyways, hey. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. This has been the Big Cheese Podcast. Thanks for coming.
Later. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jacob.